Would you sacrifice your happiness for a relationship?
One day I wanna find someone who sees the world like me.
Welcome everybody, Ben and Brittany here from benandbrittany.net, and we are tackling the question, would you sacrifice your happiness for a relationship? We got asked this question and we just thought that it would be a great discussion to just get you guys in on and see how you guys feel, see how we feel, and see what the internet says, because they're always right. Yeah, so I don't know, Brittany, what do you think you would do? Would you sacrifice your happiness for a relationship?
No, I think I'm the poster child for not sacrificing your happiness for a relationship.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, I used to be the poster child for that. I definitely sacrificed happiness for a couple years and forced myself in a situation and worked for several years to try to improve other areas in my life without really focusing on the fact that I just wasn't happy. So I guess I've been there, but now that I made that move and finally made the jump, I'm definitely pro happiness because everything else falls into place after that.
So you're saying 100% do not sacrifice your happiness for a relationship.
110%.
So, word, because I feel the same way. I don't think anybody should ever be in a relationship for reasons outside of you want to be, right? Mm-hmm. So, why don't you just tell your story of what you went through?
I got married young, and I think a lot of people know my story, so I'm gonna abbreviate it a little bit for the sake of time.
Okay.
But just thought that I made the right decision. I had a lot of self-esteem issues. Just kind of figured the relationship I was in was normal. Got married, had our first baby. Things went pretty south pretty quick after that. Didn't have a whole lot of help with a newborn. I chose breastfeeding there in the beginning, and for breastfeeding moms, you know that's very difficult. Not saying anything negative about formula mom, because I was a formula mom with both children eventually, because I just couldn't handle it on my own.
You said, screw it!
Yeah, I did. I really did. I was exhausted. And then by the time I had Kinsley, I thought, well, maybe I just want another baby. I just kept going through life thinking, well, maybe it's because I don't do this, right?
So you thought, you were okay, so I'm unhappy in my relationship. Maybe it's something that I'm doing?
Yeah, I kept saying, well, it's just me. Brittany, deal with the cards you were dealt. You made this choice, when you said I do, you said it forever. And I do believe in that.
Yeah.
To an extent, right? But, I just thought, okay, I need to focus on other areas and then eventually I'll be happy. So I tried, I got into a new workout routine for a long time. I went running. I tried to do little hobbies, paint nights. I was always doing something, some type of hobby.
Do you think that stuff helped?
I think it just distracted me from what the real issue was.
Okay.
Bought another house, sold my first house, bought another house, thinking I just needed more space. I just felt crammed where I was. Had another baby, thinking, well, maybe it's just because you wanted another baby. Babies make you happy, and they do. I love babies. So I was like, a baby will fix it. I went to church every Sunday just about for a year, because a lot of friends of mine at the time kept telling me, if you find God will fix your marriage. And I believed them. I was like, this is what's going to save my marriage. And I went to church every Sunday, brought Cailyn to this, they had a little kids center. And I tried very, very hard. I even signed up for, I think they call it adult group, maybe.
The adult Bible study?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
Yeah, I did that once a week, every Monday.
So you pretty much did anything and everything you could.
Oh, I went to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings for family members. Did that because my ex had a bit of a drinking problem. Trying to think, I did a couple crazy things where I was just truly like, okay.
You were just gasping for air, like trying to get any kind of low-hanging fruit to make anything better. You were just reaching for.
Yep. And then my 27th birthday rolled around, and I was sitting by myself holding Kinsley. She was only a couple months old, and I remember just so vividly, like she was sitting in between my legs, and I was feeding her a bottle, and I just thought to myself, I am so effing unhappy right now. Like, I love this baby. I love my daughter, Cailyn. I should feel so fulfilled at this moment, and all I feel is emptiness. And at that moment, I was like, you cannot feel this way next year on your birthday. Like, by the time you're 28, stuff has to change.
So that was your moment of, like, clarity, kind of. You were just sitting there when you should be, like, at your happiest, like, holding your baby, feeding, like, in your own home. Like, you feel like you should have this family kind of thing, but you didn't have that.
Right. I felt very, very much alone and just very unhappy and not content. So that was when I started taking classes to get my real estate license, because I knew at that point in time, I came to the conclusion that it wasn't anything else. It was my relationship. My marriage was just broken. There was no going back. There was no fixing it. I could not fix him. I could not change me. I was not happy with it. I could not be the person just happily married to somebody who, you know, racked up all that credit card debt without me knowing. I couldn't be happy with this person who, you know, would go hang out in the garage for hours drinking beer and leaving me to tend to 2 children by myself. I just couldn't be content with it. I just wasn't super woman, I guess, is kind of how I viewed it. And I just thought, all right, well, to be a single mom, I'm going to need more money. And my job at that time was not going to provide for my family. So I signed up for real estate courses, got into the real estate career, and finally started bringing in a little bit more income. And then,
so you had to put yourself in a position to leave.
I had to put myself in a position to leave. Yeah.
That's crazy. How many?
To be fair, I probably could have left sooner. I just didn't want to 110% rely on family. I was a little hard-headed. I felt like I needed to get my ducks in a row. Yeah.
And I know most of this story because obviously I'm married to you now.
Yeah.
So those of you who don't know, we are married.
Yeah. And I do want to just clarify, I do believe in the vows that you say when you get married. Like when I said I do to you, I do mean that forever. My last marriage, so many things were done so poorly against me. Now, I'm not going to say I was perfect, but there was a lot of deceit. And I feel like you can only be okay with that so much. You can only forgive someone for the same mistake so many times before you're just like, okay,
it's not going to change.
Right. And I think that's why there are exceptions. Yeah. That is why there is divorce.
How many other people do you think are in that position? Like they want to be happy, but they're sacrificing all these things for the relationship. Like, you are not a religious person.
No, I'm not.
But you went to church.
I absolutely did.
For the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question is not like, would you sacrifice your happiness for your relationship? I guess the question is more like, how much happiness do you sacrifice before you hit your breaking point and you're like, this isn't worth it?
For me, that was when... For me... So I used to, I cry. That's like my thing. That's like my release. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple times where my unhappiness would become so overwhelming. And a lot of times it happened when I would be doing like the budget. So I'd be sitting down paying bills, and I just realized like I didn't have the money to pay off all these things.
Like, not only were you unhappy, but you were like
scrounging for money. My mom was buying groceries for me at that time. It was a very low point in my life, and I would go put the girls in the living room, and I would say, hey, Mommy's gonna go get a shower, we're gonna put on a movie. I'd put on Tangled. That was Cailyn's favorite movie at the time. And then I would get in the shower and I would just cry. And one time when I got out of the shower, Cailyn had come in, and she could tell that my eyes were puffy red. Cailyn has always been very empathetic and very like emotionally sensitive. Like she can just sense when people aren't happy. She's just very, what's the word I'm looking for?
She's a good observer.
Yeah, that's maybe what it is. But she just has a high emotional intelligence, I think is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next day, I think I had to work or something, and I brought the girls to my mom's, and my mom texted me, and she said, "What's going on? Cailyn told me you have been crying."
Yeah. Cailyn is 6 years old now, by the way, so she was probably 4.
She was 3 at that time.
3.
Yeah. And that was when my heart was like, okay, now it's affecting my kids. Like now my kids see it, and when you're, not even just to say raising daughters, but I don't want my daughters to grow up thinking that is what a healthy relationship looks like, that like it's okay to have to hide in the shower and cry multiple times a week.
Yeah.
Do people fight in healthy relationships? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You butt heads. You have disagreements, but you quickly move on and get over them. My disagreements never. We never got over.
Held it into your chest like.
They just festered and got worse, and then tried to hide it underneath the rug and act like everything was okay. So many people were shocked when I left. They had no idea.
Because you just bottled it up so much.
I just bottled it up. I hid it, and I just kept saying, Brittany, like one day, like this is just gonna go away.
I do remember. I will say this. I remember when we first got together. We kept it under wraps for like a little bit, not much, not long, but once we kind of like were comfortable to be like, hey, like we're seeing each other, everybody was like, people started to say it before we even went, like let everybody know that we were seeing each other. They just said that you looked and sounded and seemed happier. Even
I remember most specifically, it was my hairdresser. So like you see your hairdresser, like, I don't know. I see mine as a female, you see them every like 6 to 8 weeks. And for a while I had to quit getting my hair done because I couldn't afford to do it.
Yeah.
But every now and then we would run into each other like at Target or whatever, or like, I'd get gift cards and then I could go get my hair done. And when I left, I was living with my parents. I was making a lot more money, but my parents were helping me. And like huge thank you to them, because I wouldn't have been able to live on my own if I didn't have them to help me with that. But I was getting my hair done more frequently. That was like my one thing. Like, you know what?
You're like, I will not sacrifice
I gave this up. Yeah, I was like, I gave this up for so long. I am never giving up getting my hair done again. That's like the one thing I treat myself to, as vain as that sounds. But I love it. So anyway,
it's important.
Yes, it is. It makes me happy. It makes me feel good about myself. So it's like a self-esteem booster. But anyway, Miranda is my hairdresser's name, and that was one of the first things she said to me was like, you just seem so much happier. Like, and I had been seeing her since I was like 16.
That made me feel good.
Yeah.
Made me feel like I was doing something right.
And I was seeing a doctor at the time, just kind of for like the mental aspect of it, like just to have like someone to go to kind of talk to about everything that I was going through. And even they noticed like a total change in me. My confidence had boosted. My parents noticed it. My dad noticed it. My brother especially noticed it. My really close friends just saw this new spark, like a glow almost. I was just me again. And that's what a lot of people said, was that they got their Brittany back.
That's what your dad told me. When I was shaking in my shoes before I asked him if I could marry you. He told me, to make a long story short, he said, you gave me my daughter back. And I was just like floored by that kind of. So that's definitely, I mean, I don't know, that was one of the best feelings that I've had. Like knowing, like I didn't know you then. I only know you now.
Right.
So for everybody to tell me that you were like doom and gloom, kind of, for lack of a better phrase before, like you just were unhappy to see you now, I'm just like, that's I wouldn't know what Brittany was like before that, and that just makes me feel good,
Well, it should feel good.
But like I wanted to ask you, like, how many other women or young girls do you think are in the position that you were in, where you're like, you're kind of like, am I in too deep? Like, can I leave? Or like, can I, like, where's that line that you cross? Like, because clearly, like, I think if there's some girls or guys that clicked on this video, they're probably like in a position where they're interested, like would like, what would other people do? Like, I'm kind of unhappy. Like, let's see what this other, like, maybe that's why they clicked.
Yeah.
But how many other people do you think are in that position?
Too many.
Too many? Like, a
Too
lot.
many.
I notice myself that I think there's a lot of people that are just unhappy in their relationship, and they kind of, with social media and stuff, like, you can tell pretty quick.
Yeah. And with that, I mean, with our podcasts and videos and a couple of, like, my own, what do you call those videos? The monologue videos? Right.
Yeah, I call them monologue videos. It's just Brittany, like, talking into her phone. Like,
I just randomly have something to say, and I say it.
Yeah.
I've had a few people message me on Facebook, that they're in a very similar situation, and that I inspire them to hopefully get out of that, which that's the whole point in us doing things like this, is because I feel like so many people are going through different things, and they think that they're the only one. And then when they start to realize, like, wow, all these other people went through the exact same thing, well, maybe not the exact same thing, but super similar thing, and then they changed something, and then their life improved. I think the more you talk about it, the more awareness there is about it, the more people will kind of join in and also make positive changes in their life.
True.
But I think we had read this article.
Well, let me ask you one more question.
Oh, sure.
If there's somebody out there that's, what would your advice be to somebody that's knocking things off the list? Like, for instance, like, maybe it's this that's making me unhappy. Or maybe it's this, and they're just, like, on number 2 or 3. Like, what's your advice to that person that's trying to figure out why they're unhappy?
I think you need to really isolate what's making you unhappy. And it's kind of like peeling back the layers, and you need to be super honest with yourself.
So that process is kind of necessary.
It's very necessary.
So if you need to go to church to figure out if that's why you're unhappy, go to church.
It didn't take me going to church. It sat me sitting in silence. Cailyn was playing by herself, Kinsley was having a bottle, and I was just sitting there in silence, and I was peeling away everything in my mind. Like, I didn't dislike my job. I didn't leave my job because I super disliked it. I had always had a interest in real estate, and it worked out for me, obviously. But I wasn't super unhappy at my job, and I didn't love my house that I was living in. Like, I was just sitting here realizing, like, I'm not attached to my house. I'm not attached to my job. But I'm also not unhappy with the house. I'm not unhappy with the job. What am I unhappy with? Why do I feel so trapped? And then I just started being like, well, I feel trapped because I've been lied to so many times about these big financial issues that are making me drown in debt and not being able to afford groceries. And I'm so unhappy because the person who's supposed to love and provide for my family is not helping doing that at the time. And then, and I just realized, like, gosh, I haven't been happy with this person even before that for years. Like, I was just been putting on a face because I had such low self-esteem that I figured nobody else was going to love me. Like, he loved me, he wanted to marry me, that was my chance, and I thought my only chance to get married.
So you were like, I'm lucky. Babies. I found the one person that I think on the planet is going to love me back.
Yes, that was my thought. Like, I thought, if I don't get married now, I'm never going to get married, and I'm never going to have kids. And at that time, I just wanted to have babies.
Yeah, and I
wanted kids so hard.
I look at you, my wife, and I'm like, you are ridiculous. Like, that you think that?
I thought that, yeah. Because there were so many, even when we were dating, there were so many, like, red flags. And it's so easy to look back now. Because when you're in it, and this is why I'm saying you got to isolate what the real issue is, because as you're going through life, you kind of just tuck things under the rug. Like, oh, that's okay. What he just said there was totally okay. That's fine. It's fine. And you're constantly, like, weighing this, like, well, the good outweighs the bad. If the good...
And the good was always, I have 2 kids.
Yeah. And I just feel like if you're even contemplating that, like, if you have to sit there and be like, does the good outweigh the bad? If it's not in your face obvious that the good outweighs the bad, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be teetering. It shouldn't be that close. Mm-mm. The good should severely outweigh the bad. Is there always going to be some negative? Yeah, no one's perfect.
Yeah, I fart a lot.
Yeah, it's terrible. So, So yeah, isolate. I can't even remember what the question was, but it was you got to isolate what the problem is, and then you need to develop a plan to just move on.
Yeah. So that's your advice to somebody.
I don't care if you have 1 kid, 5 kids, if you've been married 1 year or 10 years. If it's not getting better, and I do think you need to put forth an honest effort. If you feel like you did, and it takes 2 sides. So if only one person is putting in all the effort to save the relationship and the other person just keeps doing the bad habits that are upsetting you, it's over when it's over.
Yeah. So
and I don't care how much time you invested, you're only wasting more time.
Yeah.
You can't look at the time that you've invested as wasted. It wasn't wasted. It brought you to where you are now. It helped you grow. It helped you realize we would not have met. We wouldn't
if you weren't in the relationship that you were before.
Right.
So I guess in a sense, don't look back and dwell and have regrets. You just have to rinse your hands clean of like what your life is and move on in the best way that you can, because there is no such thing as a time machine. You can't go back.
You can't turn back time. Why dwell over it? I don't regret it. I have my 2 beautiful daughters, and I grew so much. I went through so much in my 20s, and then it did teach me what a good relationship looks like, and that's why I appreciate you so much. And I don't think, I don't know, because we don't have a crystal ball, but like if I had met you when I was 21, would I appreciate you the way I do now?
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I think part of it is like meeting at the right time in life too.
Mm-hmm. We were both, we both met when we were at a turning point in our lives. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no girls, I'm good. I'll be old and alone and happy because I don't have to worry about this girl thing, this other person that I have to share my life with. Like, screw that. Yeah.
And then I swear to God, like 3 days later, Brittany walks in and she's like, hi, I kind of want to kiss you, and I'm like, all right. There goes my life. Huge turn right
in
there.
In a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be a single mom forever, which I was totally content with.
But I just think I kind of want to backpedal a little bit, just because I thought it was so crazy that, like, the advice that you gave was not what I was expecting.
Oh.
Like, no. I'm not saying it as a bad thing. I'm saying, like, it made me think, and it was when you kind of said that the process of figuring out why you're unhappy is so necessary. Like, so it's not easy it's not easy for somebody to just be like, you know what, it's my relationship.
I think,
like, especially when you're in deep, you can kind of see it, but you have to go through those other wormholes to isolate it. Like, even if you're like 90% sure, you need to go through the gauntlet to be 100% sure. And
maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't, I guess.
I just think that's the natural thing that people do.
That's what I was saying. Like, I think it makes sense to want to do that.
Yeah,
when you said you're not you told me you weren't a religious person, and you went to church, and you knew that wasn't going to fix it. But you still did it.
I was holding on to a thread because that's what so all my friends just kept telling me.
You did it for them.
Yeah. Like, they were saying, this is what you need to do, and then your relationship's going to be fixed. And not that a lot of people even knew that it was that broken. Like, I would just kind of
That's even more interesting.
I would kind of hint, like, things aren't that great right now.
Yeah. So wait.
And then they'd be like, oh, Brittany, you don't go to church.
You had to validate yourself to your friends before you could leave.
No, I had to validate it to myself. It was almost like I just assumed it was me.
But I thought you kind of went to church because your friends were telling you to, and if you didn't do that, they would be like, oh, well, you didn't try hard enough.
And they had good marriages. So I thought, well, if church helps their marriage, maybe it can save mine.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so no, I never did anything to validate for other people.
Okay.
It was always like, all right, I have this problem. I could get divorced, but I have 2 kids, and I can't afford my bills on my own now. Or I stay. And if I stay, I got to do something to make my situation better, because I can't live like this. Okay, well, maybe it's my, maybe it's because we're not going to church. Maybe it's because I need to repaint my living room a different color. Like, it was stupid crap sometimes. Maybe it's I just need to hang out with my friends more. Maybe it's, I don't know, like, I would just try different things. And at the end of the day, if I had just sat for maybe 30 minutes and really gave myself honest answers, then I would have been like, no, Brittany, it's not you. It's not your house. It's not your job. It's not your friends. It's not going to church. You need to leave. That's what I mean. So I don't think people need to go down those wormholes. I wish people would stop doing that and stop wasting precious time.
Okay. See, I thought you were saying that it wasn't a time waster. It was like a necessary process.
Do I think it was a time waster? No. Maybe that's what I had to do, to be honest with myself.
That's what I think needed to happen.
Maybe for me. But I think looking back, like, you know, hindsight's 20/20. I wish I would have just been more honest with myself earlier on.
Yeah.
Do I think it was wasted time? No. It made me who I am today. But if I saw somebody else going down the same rabbit holes as I was going through, I'd be like, listen.
You'd be like, hey. You'd be like a lifeguard, like with the flags.
Yeah. You know, and I think it's one of those, like you hear the story that somebody went through something similar and then they did this thing. And then when they did this magical thing, it worked for them. I think that's what I thought church was going to be for me. Like, okay.
I don't think that magical thing really exists.
No, the magical thing is you just need to focus on yourself, be a little selfish. I'm not saying to be a jerk, but you do need to take care of you. And if you take care of yourself and focus on your happiness, all the other things start to fall into place.
Maybe that's why I met you, because I did that. I started to focus only on myself. I didn't worry about, like, looking good for other people. I was just like, let me just be happy on my own. Like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. And then that could have led to what you were attracted to.
And the night before, I shouldn't say the night before, the weekend that I met you was when I told the only person that I had told, out loud, my whole plan, which was my cousin Tori. And she was the one that validated me and said, you're right. And Brittany, you can do this. Like she said, Brittany, you are strong. You can do this. You can leave your husband. You can be happy. And that was the weekend that I was like, you're right. I'm doing it. And here we are.
Word.
So that's
amazing. Like,
that's my spiel.
I know the whole story of how all that happened. I just felt like I wanted to pull that out of you because I think that your story it's incredible to me. Like,
and I think
it's part of the reason why I love you and know that you're a strong person. So
I love you too.
I wanted everyone
and
to
you're
hear
also
it.
a strong person. I feel like when we met each other, again, we were focusing on us separately, like as individuals, and then we met. And then
we just boosted each other up.
We were constantly just boosting each other. You started focusing more on the band because you realized that was where your heart was. You pushed me to focus more on real estate because you realized that's where my heart was. And we both just grew together. And now look at where we both are. You know, it just allowed us to...
Our lives did
that
180 once we met.
That healthy energy did so much in every other area of our life.
Yeah.
And I think you don't have to find love for that to happen, but I do think you need to be happy for that to happen. Make sense?
Like once your happiness is in check, then your life starts to move. If you're sad or pissed off or whatever it is, like that's what you dwell on. Like your productivity, your motivation, it all plummets. And then once you're happy, you wake up in the morning, you have your cup of coffee or whatever it is you do in the morning, and you're like, let's go, let's get on with life.
Right. Yeah. And I just think when you do have a relationship, whether it's friends, like a love relationship, your children, I think you can love harder and more efficiently. And when I mean like more efficiently, I mean like you can spend better quality time with them when you're happy.
Yeah.
So like I have definitely improved in the motherhood area of my life because I am now happy. Like running away to go cry and hide in the shower, I wasn't spending time with my kids.
Yeah.
And I was constantly a zombie.
And if they came up
just
to you and
going
like,
through
Mom,
the motions.
Can we play hide and seek with you? You'd be like, no, not right now.
Yeah.
When you were sad, but when you're happy, you're like, yeah, I got 10 minutes.
I never used to do those things. They had to play by themselves a lot because I was constantly just trying to distract myself.
Wow. I wonder do you have some things on the internet that people are saying about this topic?
Well, I just thought it was interesting that the 10 most searched relationship questions on Google were questions such as, what does a healthy relationship look like?
What?
How do you know your relationship is over? How to get out of a toxic relationship? How to get over a relationship?
What is an open relationship?
How to save your relationship? Let's skip that one. That's just weird. How to build trust in a relationship? This one's funny. How to change your relationship status on Facebook?
That was number 2 in 2019.
How to make a long distance relationship work. So I feel like number 1 is not as relatable to all the others, but I think the last 9 are pretty much people who are stuck.
Unhappy.
They're realizing they're unhappy, but now they need to know, do I make a move? Do I fix it? If I fix it, how do I fix it? Or do I get out?
Looking for advice and validation for why they're feeling the way they feel.
Exactly. And then the last one, how to make a long distance relationship work.
We'll do a whole nother podcast on that.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure. I definitely think you can have a healthy relationship that involves long distance. So I don't really think that one relates, but the other ones definitely make me feel like to be fair, people in healthy relationships probably don't need to Google what a healthy relationship looks like.
What would you Google if you were happy in a relationship, about relationships? You'd be like,
I'll be honest, I've Googled some.
What?
So my Googling about relationships are like, how can I surprise my spouse?
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
Unique Valentine's Day ideas. It's more stuff like that.
Awesome date night ideas.
Right.
Those are things that happy couples search, not how do I save my relationship, or how can I spice things up?
Or
they shouldn't need spiced up.
Healthy Instapot recipes. That's what I'm searching. Because food is the way to this man's heart. For sure.
My gosh, is it ever?
Trust me, I brought lots of food every time we hung out in the beginning.
Oh yeah. The one time Brittany called me, she was like, I'm hungry, I'm going to stop at Rutter's before I come over. Do you want anything? And I was like, sure, just surprise me. I trust you. She came over with a duffel bag full of Rutters, $30 worth of Rutters, and I was like, she's the one.
Yeah, it's $27. I wrote it down somewhere. It was $27.84. But I remembered him saying that he liked cheesesteaks, mozzarella sticks, and a couple other things.
She got them all.
So I just got them all. And that was the day he fell in love. Yep. I'm just kidding. But so I think those questions are just interesting.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else?
What's this one?
Brittany's our searcher of things for this podcast. She looks up all the information.
I love to research. Google is my best friend, other than men. So I also thought this article was interesting from PR Newswire that 83% of Americans report being happy in their relationships.
Oh, I remember you talking to me about this. That was in 2019.
Yep, so that's 2019. This is a record-breaking year
for relationships.
So Americans are at their happiest in their relationships, and
Americans that also take polls are at their happiest in relationships.
Very true.
Because I've never taken a poll. I'll be honest with you. These statistics are kind of skewed.
Yeah, I only took the poll so I could read the article.
Oh, you have to take the poll to read the article?
Yeah.
Oh.
But
that's up from what? You said 63% last year?
67%, I think.
Okay, so 67% of people that took this poll last year were happy, and 83% that took this poll this year are happy. So that's a big jump.
Yep. And I thought this was interesting. So what's leading to the happiest relationships? And they did this poll, and they believe from this article that equal partnership where couple shares the same amount of power / dominance, monogamous relationships, and a healthy sex life are what leads to the happiest of relationships. So basically what that means is don't have a power trip. We joke about...
It means be a team and have sex. That's what that means.
Yeah.
And that's,
There was somewhere in here, and it was have sex, have frequent sex, i.e. daily or weekly. And I was like, weekly?
Weekly.
Daily, people.
No, Brittany cannot go a week.
Have sex with your spouse daily.
Brittany cannot go a week. I hold the power in that department. Yeah.
It's all about having a healthy marriage, Benjamin.
Yes, it is. It is. I love you.
I love you too.
All right.
And then also, there was one more thing. I talk about this all the time, and people make fun of me for it, but how do we communicate love? And there are different languages of love. So there's words of affirmation, gift giving, physical touch.
Words of affirmation, that just means me going, I love you, you're beautiful. Those kind of things?
Yes. Yep. And basically, it had said that most healthier marriages focused, gift giving was like their least focus, and their highest focus was words of affirmation and touch. And Ben knows that my love language is definitely touch. Like, I love to snuggle, hold hands, like all of that stuff means a lot to me.
We'll be in the same room and you'll be like, I miss you.
Yeah.
And then I have to give her a hug and she's like, this is better.
Yeah. Like,
Definitely.
even the band kind of jokes, or you joked about it with the band, like when we would all be in the van, and like there'll be like 2 rows of open seats, and I'll be like, I'm gonna sit right next to Ben.
Yeah,
like,
we could be on our tour bus, like trying to spread out, and everybody's like so happy that they have their own couch, right? And Brittany's like, I don't want my own couch. My couch is Ben. Like, it doesn't matter where he is. Like if we had a 10 square foot box to live in, or a 5-story mansion, like Brittany would still be in the same spot.
For sure.
On my lap.
Yeah, if I'm like in the kitchen, like cooking dinner, and Ben's in the office working, and it's been like 30 minutes, I'm just like, okay.
I need to go kiss him or something.
Time. I need a hug. So I just thought that was pretty neat.
Cool.
So yeah. But that definitely, I felt like we were doing those things.
We were doing all the things. Like, all the things that everybody was like, oh, well, the most healthy relationships do X, Y, Z. We're like, check, check, check. Like,
we're like, sweet.
So that made us feel
it.
really good. Doing this podcast allowed us to really look into what the internet says about what a healthy relationship is. And we nailed it, according to the internet. So
Sweet.
I guess if you're one of those people
I think we know it too. You feel it.
We knew it going into it because we're happy.
So the people who are Googling, what was one of the questions? Like, how do you know?
How do you know if it's time to
when it's over?
Break up.
You know. If you are typing that question into Google.
Yeah.
You know. Because when you are happy, no questions asked, like you know.
And there's a difference between being happy and being mad at someone, or being in an argument and not being happy. Because even if Brittany and I get into a huge fight about something stupid that has no weight on anything,
to clarify, doesn't
happen. Like, but if we did, neither of us would be like, how do we save our relationship? Like, because the fact leaving never ever comes into the question, even when we get mad at each other.
Yeah. Like, you're gonna get mad at each other.
It's just gonna happen. Like,
you might have hard times, and you might go through, I think my parents are a great example. They've had their ups and downs, but they always knew that they were meant to be together. Mm-hmm. And that they were happiest when they were with each other. It's just getting through those. It's life. Like, you can't go through decades with the same person and not experience some downhills. That's not what I'm saying, but it's over when it's over, people. Just focus on your happiness, and the rest will fall into place. I can't say that enough.
Mm-hmm. That's good advice. So, I guess in closing, make your own decisions, and, I don't think you need to validate yourself to anyone but you. If you're unhappy, and get out. If you think you can make it work, then go for it. Maybe that process Brittany was talking about earlier, where you have to peel back the layers to find out what really is bothering you. Maybe that's necessary for you.
And if it is, it's not a waste of time. I should never have said that. It isn't a waste of time.
I don't think it was a waste of time for you, because it's what led you here. Yeah. You went through that for a reason. So
very true.
If you have to go through that, go through it. Go to church if you need to.
But if you don't have to go through it and you can make the decision, just rip off the Band-Aid. And don't let friends influence your decision, because let me tell you, some people are not going to be happy with your decision, especially if you're married. So if you're not married, for whatever reason, it tends to be easier on people.
The consequences aren't as high.
But like, I had several friends like message me very mean things about the fact that I was leaving my husband, and they kept saying, well, what about the girls? And I'm like, yeah, what about my kids?
Yeah,
like, my kids are witnessing are not witnessing what a healthy relationship looks like. So you know what's best for you. You know what's best for your family. You might piss some people off,
but those people aren't your friends.
Right.
I'd be willing to step out on a limb and say that. Like, if somebody like Brittany got messaged mean things after she made the decision she did, like, those people don't belong in your life.
Right.
That's only negativity, and negativity is not good for anybody. So you gotta make your decision, be proud of it, and then surround yourself with positivity. That's how you turn your life around.
Yep. Absolutely. And just remember,
positivity.
The people being negative are probably unhappy themselves.
Yeah. And they're like, well, I'm in this bullshit too. You should be in it.
So do you.
Yeah. No.
So just focus on you. Don't worry about what other people think. The right people will come into your life. The people that support you through it, they're your true friends, and they're all you need.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So I guess we can ask you guys to weigh in the comments below, or wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube or Facebook or Spotify, wherever. Hit us up. Let us know what you think on this topic. Weigh in. If you have any questions or comments, send us an email, send us a message. If you want to join our text club, you can text 717-422-8318. Text Ben and Brittany to 717-422-8318, and we will text you right back. That's our number. And we just want to help anybody in any way we can. That's kind of why we started doing this, and we're going to do it a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Weren't we going to tell them our schedule?
Our schedule. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the first of many podcasts. Yep. We are going to be podcasting and doing these videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we're going to release them around 6 o'clock every day, and you can watch on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music Podcasts, wherever podcasts are available and wherever videos are available. You can come find us and follow us and
our website.
Contact us.
It'll be on our website too.
At benandbrittany.net. Right? Yes.
I'm not lying.
No, it will be.
He's the tech person.
I'm the tech person.
I tried.
Yep. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you in the next podcast episode. Hope this helped. Let a friend know if they should listen to this, and contact us if there's any way we can help you. See you later.